Doesn't matter where you are in life. The last 8 years of my life, I figured out how to create the life I actually wanted.
Ano ba to?
Pancit fiesta po.
Canton?
Pancit fiesta. Para siyang ano.
It looks like mee goreng.
Okay, Richard, do 3 sets of 20 squat each. I say, well, that's easy, like, do that 20 squat. I like to do that one, because, maybe if I have a cool exercise, I can take a selfie, like post it somewhere, someplace. So he said, okay, Richard, and after warm up, everything, say, okay, do or you die, right? Maybe Success Resources Quantum Leap Trainer is one of the best in the world. Now, so this program, if you buy from Success, how many of you here just?
I'm totally down to just hang out here for a while. Okay.
I just want to know if Gary's on, but I'm sure he's gonna be last. Just let it calm down a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Q&A is one of the innovative ways, but what are the other ways aside from the 3 different types of?
What I mean by that, in putting out content, and they can sense what you're actually doing is trying to get them into the funnel to pay you, you're finished. And that's what everybody's doing.
Hi guys, so I recently went to the National Achievers Congress Global Tour 2019, and I just thought I'd sit down and talk a little bit about my experience. I want to talk about the schedule for that day, the pros and cons, the ticket prices, and whether or not this event would be good for you in the event that it comes again next year, as well as the courses that I signed up with at the end of the entire day. I will be putting timestamps at the bottom of the description bar so that you could skip to any section that you would prefer listening to. So the whole event started at 9 a.m. with registration opening up at 7:30 a.m. The whole thing concluded at 7:30 p.m. so that was a very long day. The host came up on stage, started talking to another host that was live streaming all the way in Malaysia just so that they could capture the event happening in Singapore. After that, the chairman came up, he had an opening message. And then the first speaker came up. The first speaker was Peng Joon. He's a Malaysian marketing expert. He talked a little bit about his techniques and ultimately talked about his course. After that, the second speaker came up. It was Cardone. He is a sales expert, started talking about his expertise and his background, as well as pushing for his course. And then after that, we had lunch. So each speaker had about 90 minutes. So at that point, I think it was about 1:30 p.m. We had an hour's worth of lunch. Everyone had their food outside. Everyone except the people that were holding the diamond and platinum tickets, I believe. They had exclusive access to take pictures with the keynote speakers, as well as interacting with them, as well as having a free meal. I had a gold ticket, which is the very basic general admission ticket. So I had to go out and find my own food. After an hour, there was a third speaker that came up, and he was a representative for Tony Robbins. So he came up, spoke for about 60 minutes, and the purpose of that 60 minutes was really to just push out Tony Robbins' seminar. So the fourth speaker came up, and it was the chairman of Success Resources, the guy who opened up the entire event at the very beginning. And then he came up and he started talking about his fitness achievements. He started talking about how he climbed Mount Everest, how he joined Ironman race, and ultimately led up to talking about his course, or his rather mentorship program. So this by far was the weirdest, because at this point we have been seeing every single speaker come up, push for their course, which, mind you, are courses that would cost you over $2,000, including GST. So at this point, it was just ridiculous, and everybody was more or less waiting for Gary Vee to come out because he was the main headline of the entire thing. The chairman started talking at great length for about 90 minutes to introduce his mentorship program, where you will be rubbing shoulders with everybody that is a keynote speaker in Success Resources, and kind of just if you hang out with me, you hang out with them type of justification for his $38,000 course. This by far was the weirdest thing about the whole event. Regardless, let's move on. After that, there was the 5th keynote speaker, which is Sandy Jadeja. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering his name. He is a trading analyst expert. So he came up and he started talking about, you guessed it, his trading course. At the very end, Gary Vee finally comes out as the 6th speaker for the entire day. He does a 30-minute session where he breezes through everything that he's already mentioned in his social media, his Instagram, his podcast. So it's nothing new. The messages that he was conveying was just a condensed version to remind you of what he's always said all along. You pretty much don't need to go for this event for new content because he doesn't say anything more. What really defines the event is the 60-minute Q&A portion.
But most importantly, I definitely am excited to open up the Q&A session a little bit earlier than we had planned, because I think that's where most of the value comes from.
So the people holding the diamond and the platinum tickets were exclusively able to come up and ask him a question. That took 60 minutes, but honestly, with the amount of time that it took to wait for Gary Vee to finally come out, the time that he spent on the stage felt a little stunted. I really wish that he was there a lot longer. By the end of the event, you could see that he was rushing off, patiently rushing off, but even then very hastily trying to get off stage. So I just didn't like that vibe, but even then Gary was freaking amazing. The whole thing concluded at 7:30 where we had like a theme song. I think Success Resources had like a closing song, and that was 10 hours worth of our life given to NAC Global Tour. Alright, so I want to talk about the pros and cons of the event. I'm going to start with the cons because there are a lot more cons than pros, to be honest. The largest con being there was no detailed itinerary for the day. They didn't send out a program before the event. They didn't send out a program on the day itself. So I really came in not knowing who was going to be the keynote speakers, what time they were going to start, what time they were going to end. And you really just went into the event not knowing anything more than that it starts at 9 a.m. and it ends at 7:30 p.m. I actually went up to registration to ask for the details of the event because they did give us a booklet, but in the booklet there was nothing more than just empty pages and a lot of ads. Sad to say, the people working didn't know themselves. When the host opened up the event and he was introducing the first keynote speaker, he actually had to get off stage because he didn't know who to introduce first. I just felt like Success Resources could have done a better job at trying to solidify a schedule for an event like this. It's pretty standard to have a set schedule. At least then we would know what time we would be having lunch. At least then we would know who will be speaking next. A lot of people went into the event not really knowing why it would take 10 hours long. So yeah, I just felt like it was a little bit of a time waster, especially since all but one person, which was Gary Vee, so 5 people, were pushing out their courses, were asking you for more money. And it was a really sad attempt at trying to get you to spend more and to go for their courses. In saying that, every speaker that came up really kept their information vague. The knowledge that they were trying to convey to you was not detail-oriented, which I understand why, because they really only have 90 minutes, and the kind of information that they would have to pass on to you would really need 2 days worth of training. So I totally understand that. But in saying that, do we really want to sit down for 90 minutes just to get an introductory course on your training workshop? A lot of people that were there were obviously working professionals, and time is money, and we were pretty much sitting there for a good 7 hours just listening to people pitch their program. This was my first time attending a Success Resource event, so I really had no expectations whatsoever. I have no biases. I didn't hear from somebody that this is what they would do, so I am really coming in with a fresh perspective. And sad to say, it was too much hard selling. To sum everything up, the event was not supposed to take this long. In the end, we were just spending about 7 hours listening to other people pitch their courses, whereas we were mainly there for Gary Vee and for his appearance, but he only really just popped up for a very short amount of time. Comparable to the amount of time that we were there, it was very disproportionate. It was a real treat to experience interacting with him face to face, albeit his time there was very short, it was very hasty, it was rushed. So that's the con, considering we waited all day for him. Alright, now onto the pros. I know this is a very small detail. It's got nothing to do with the event itself or the courses or the keynote speakers, but I really like that they had water coolers stationed in the event as opposed to just giving out water bottles. Prior to the event, they sent out an email telling us to bring our own water bottle because they weren't going to provide any water in the event, which is strange considering you pay quite a solid amount of money to attend this event. But I really appreciated that they were being like eco-friendly. Whether or not they were being eco-friendly or if they were just trying to cut costs on their end, I really liked that part. Okay, alright, now into NAC itself. I think the biggest pro would be that it is a good event to kind of step out of your comfort zone. A lot of people there are either entrepreneurs themselves, business owners, or 9-to-5 workers. And it's natural to fall into the habit of our day-to-day routines, not really thinking about anything outside of our own reality. So it's really good to go to this event and to listen to a lot of different industry leaders talk about their own experiences, talk about the systems that they have implemented that gave them success in the long run. Success Resources opened up my perspective and my scope when it comes to different industries and skill sets that I could develop. There was, like I said, a marketing expert, a sales expert, a trading analyst expert, and the keynote speakers that they introduced were leading experts in their own trade. So I really appreciated that. It was quality speakers that knew their shit. It wasn't random ass people that were pushing for their program. Now moving on to ticket prices. General admission ticket is about $100, and that was what you called the gold ticket. The diamond and the platinum tickets are a level up from the gold, and that could have easily costed you about $200 to $500, I think. I'm not really quite sure, so I'm just gonna give a quick ballpark. Do I think it is worth $100? That is cutting it very steep because $100 is a substantial amount of money. I'm gonna say I would not return again if I had to pay $100 for this event. But if you were able to get early bird tickets, which was less than $50 per general admission ticket, then I would say yes, that is definitely worth it. You really did get to hear Gary Vee talk, and I think that is very special in itself. But to pay $100 to listen to other people push their own course for 10 hours, I think that would be pushing it way too much. Be prepared to spend a lot more when you come into this event because the speakers are very, very convincing, and I actually ended up leaving the event having signed up to 2 courses. Do I recommend people to go to this event the next time it rolls in? I'm gonna say yes, I do recommend it. If there is a keynote speaker that you absolutely follow to death, like I did with Gary Vee, then yeah, sure, why not? It gives you an opportunity to be in the same space as him, to kind of radiate the same energy that he is emulating. If there's a specific person you want to meet, sure. But make sure you buy the early bird tickets because prices will rise, and by the time prices rise, honestly, I think you would be wasting your money at that point. I want to say do your own research before you come into the event so that you know who the keynote speakers are, so you could more or less gauge whether their course or their training workshop is really worth it. Because once they are on stage and once they start talking about how they've made money, they really do make it seem seamless. They've got the street grit formula, and that if you signed up for this course, which is ridiculously discounted specifically for today, it will manipulate you into thinking that you need to buy this course at that very moment. But I don't even know if that's a realistic advice that I could give out because, like I said, I didn't even know who the keynote speakers were up until that day. Even while I was in the course, I didn't know who was coming up. So to have that information beforehand, The first course that I will be attending is Peng Joon's Game Changer Boot Camp for 2 days. I'm so sorry. I outlined his face because I kind of got a little bored. At some point, he just kept rambling about the same system that he had. Yeah. And then the second course is the Fat Profit Trading Strategies by Sandy, and that is also a 2-day course. Both courses are more or less the same price, I believe, except that Sandy allows you to bring a +1 to his event. Alright, so I am looking at my receipt and it does say here $2,136.79. So just below $2,200 for that one course. With Jadeja, at least you get 2 people, you can divide it in half. I think this event is really good for people that are looking for new avenues to explore in different industries, to build different skill sets. I think this event is a really good platform to open up your horizons. Alright, so that is everything. I hope you come back to this channel because I will be doing a personal review on the 2 courses that I will be attending in June. I'm very excited for those things. I want to see whether it's worth the money because these courses are not cheap. So I really do hope that this will genuinely impact my life after attending the workshops. Till then, I'll catch you later. So, yeah, it was Tessa's first time listening to Gary Vee.
Yeah, I know. I need to listen to this podcast.
What did you think about him?
He was great. He just like real talk, right?
Yeah.
Like he was just very honest. Had a lot of good points. Just about being authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I really need to listen to them, but like everything he said was great and really useful.
He was really good at calling people out.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of people by surprise based on everybody's reaction. So yeah, it was nice. It was cool. I feel like he was just repeating a lot of the things that's already out online. So
I think like what I really liked is he was just basically like, make content, content that you want to make. Don't just make it for like what you think people want.
Yeah.
But just make.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you've got so much stuff that people like and stuff.
He's a huge advocate for hustling really hard, and so there was this one person who was asking, what should I do? Should I do content for myself and what I would love to do, or should I do content for other people based on profit?
Right.
And his answer was just like, make both. If you're making stuff every day, just make both. That's not even like a choice that you have to make.
Because I definitely like overthink that.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Because of course you want to you want people to like you, right?
Yeah.
But I guess
like the numbers do matter, that kind of thing.
Yeah. But also maybe you just want them to like you for being you, so just give it a go.
Man, this arm. My arm is really
you need like
work out. And then there were these other speakers that came in before Gary. What do you have to say about them?
I mean, like, I think it was good. They were very like money driven.
Yeah,
and that, I mean, that it's good to have that mindset too, but I don't know, some of it was like pretty intense.
They had a marketer, like a market expert come in, a sales expert come in, a trader
I would like love to know more about trade actually, but
trading,
it's just like he was talking about stuff and I don't really know anything about it, so I felt a bit lost. But I mean, I like the figures he was giving out.
I know, I was like
$36,000.
Yes, in one day.
I don't know how to do it, I don't understand.
Yeah, but that's like the dream though. A lot of people get into trading thinking that they would make money really quick and then they end up losing so much more.
I'm just like not a gambler, like, which is what trading is. I know, exactly. So,
but he made it seem so easy. He was like, oh, you just copy paste the numbers in this and then put it into our system and voila.
I don't know, maybe I'll read into it, but I'll probably start pretty small.
I think my dad signed up.
He probably knows more about it than us though.
My dad doesn't know anything about trading.
Well, I guess
he's never traded in his life. But if he signed up to the course, then I'm his +1 for sure.
That's true, yeah. You get a free ticket.
I signed up for the first course, which was about sales. No, it was about marketing. I signed up for this marketing course, and Gary Vee made me regret my decision after he started bashing how people should just give out content for free. They shouldn't be greedy. It shouldn't be pushing too hard on a certain program for people to subscribe to. for profit.
I mean, I guess the marketing that works, you're gonna make a product.
Create a product, yeah.
So,
and he was talking, Gary Vee specifically said like funneling. He was like funneling is a short-term win, it's not a long-term win, and it's gonna end up costing you in the end, which is what the salesperson was talking about. He was like, I'm going to teach you my sales funneling process. Do you remember? Yeah, so I was like, oh no, Gary Vee doesn't approve.
It's very lonely out there. So my question for you is like, I want to be able to build the next stage of my business through relationship. And I want to be able to do it, and I think the question that's really coming out is, do I have to come off as an expert? Can I be there with people? Can I record conversations? I love document, don't.
Intent that you have when you put something out is the variable of how well it will do. Amen to that. That's how you'll win. When you teach people how to help them, then you will get karma in return and you will sign up more people. Because when you're putting out content and they can sense what you're actually doing is trying to get them into the funnel to pay you, you're finished. And that's what everybody's doing. And yes, there are plenty of people that are successful. I know landing page optimization. I know, I get it. I understand. I understand funnels. I understand. It's a short-term game. And every day that goes by, it's losing leverage, not gaining leverage. I'm gonna make sure of it. Got it?
Yeah. Thank you.
And you're welcome. I'm really trying. And if today was a less productive day because I was tired or a meeting didn't go well or who knows why, I'm just not capable of beating myself up today. I look at it over the course of time. I mean, you get to be the judge and the jury.
Right. And one more question is actually about millennials actually, is that a lot of times people see that, oh, this guy's too young, or for me as a Singaporean, it's like, you haven't go army, why should I listen to you?
Yes.
And you also say about being authentic.
Yes.
Right, but I'm being authentic and sometimes people still don't believe, let's say my experience or portfolio.
That was my whole life from 20 to 40.
Right. Right. So basically, just be authentic and just share with the world what you just really want to share.
What's the alternative? Make shit up? You know what I mean? Look, I am everything that you now know me for is nothing I was saying and doing was accepted when I was doing it. Guys, I launched an e-commerce business in 1996. People thought the internet was a fad. Email, Google AdWords. I started one of the first YouTube shows ever. I invested in Facebook and Twitter before anybody had ever heard of it. Tumblr, like Uber, like everything. I started having a man follow me with a camera 3 years ago. People thought that, like everything I do, you're gonna be you can't be upset and try to convince people who are gonna judge you on age. You just need to move on to the next person and figure out which one's not gonna judge you on age. And by the way, youngsters, take it from everybody. Who's over 40 here? Raise your hands. Raise it high. Us with our hands up, we lived in a world where 100% of 20-year-olds and 25-year-olds were not listened to. Because technology became big, you guys are way more respected than we were at 25. You're over-respected. I mean it. People think, oh, you're a kid, you understand technology. No, you don't. So, the reality is, you've heard a lot of this today. Don't be in the convincing business. Go to who's already convinced.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Thank you so much.
You got it.
Hey Gary,
Yes.
last question.